Oh. If I couldn't make this clear enough, I really love the X-Men. Not to say that I don't like everything about the X-Men. Like the movies. First Class, very good. 3, people are going to hate me, but that's one of the best ones. 1 and 2, that's where we kind of run into problems, and this is why. Bryan Singer, we had such high hopes for you. You made Apt Pupil and The Usual Suspects. Then you got given the X-Men film, and you completely ruined it. Not to say it wasn't a good film and delivered some good imagery, but as a whole, its relationship to the X-Men seemed very distant from the actual comic book. It seemed set in its own little world, devoid from anything. You also managed to balls up the Superman movie, which we'll come to when it comes to it. I want to talk about David Hayter. Yes, David Hayter. The man who may have brought us Watchmen in 2009, but until that time, bit parts and voice acting roles? Really? Oh, you must remember him from such great things as the Metal Gear Solid series. Yes, David Hayter is Solid Snake. Seriously? I think that after that you might be able to see why I have a small problem. For someone who got given the chance to write one of the first screenplays that Marvel did with one of their biggest titles, they didn't really think about who to give it to. Oh, they gave it to someone, and that someone then just did whatever the hell they want. They even went and did wonderful lines like this.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
Oh, even hearing that one line hurts me in my very core. You might think I'm a bit of a Puritan X-Men fan, but that one line had nothing to do with the characters, nothing to do with the situation, nothing to do with the plot. It was retarded, and it was the one line before we see one of the major villains of the film leave, with no explanation of where he ended up, no explanation in any of the following films where he ended up, and just why? I think the problem stems with David Hayter. Not to say he didn't do good work, 2009's Watchmen, one of the best films ever. It's even what I would consider one of my top 10 films, but we will get to that in time. But the X-Men...
You're a dick.
Now I know that all movies are going to have some bad lines in them, and maybe even more than a few. We know that Arnold Schwarzenegger is more than capable of delivering more than one stupid line in more than one of his films. Still, the story was kind of bland, and the second one especially followed on with such slow progress. It just felt so much worse. The X-Men fight Magneto, they fight Magneto, they go to a lake, they fight a guy... Anyway, from the continuation of what might be First Class, or the next film in the series, here's my take on what should happen next in the franchise. My X-Men movie idea. We start off with Beast at the Pentagon doing Pentagon stuff, but Magneto shows up to do some evil shit and start a war again. Beast does the right thing and calls what is left of the X-Men. They show up very quickly, only to dispatch Magneto to find out that he is not Ian McKellen, but Michael Fassbender. He explains he was restored to health by a powerful mutant in the Savage Land, which makes perfect sense for a normal X-Men film. We then catch up to Rogue, who bumps into Gambit and offers to help him by taking him to the X-Men for plot convenience. We then catch up with our time-travelling hero, Cable, who has 48 hours to find out why his timeline in the future is being destroyed. He meets up with the X-Men and offers to help them if they help him. Together, with a depowered Magneto, thanks to Cable's future tech, all go to the Savage Land, while Storm and Beast go to the location of Magneto's secret base to find out any more clues about why he's got his powers back. However, they find it's a trap led by Quicksilver. Meanwhile, Cable and the other X-Men find out the man responsible is actually Mr. Sinister. While we then catch up with Rogue and Gambit, who reach the empty X-Mansion, only to find someone there to greet them. Back in the Savage Land, Mr. Sinister's base transports them to the lake from the second X-Men movie. We then get to see his technological skills when he raises two glowing bodies from the water, only to find it's Cyclops and Jean Grey, the Jean Wolverine killed in the third film being the separated Phoenix Force. Due to a tracker chip though in Magneto's costume, the Brotherhood show up with Storm and Beast, and we finally get our blowout major epic battle of the movie. We then get some exposition from Cable, who abruptly leaves. So all the X-Men are together again, home finally to Rogue and Gambit and... What? Charles Xavier? The film then ends with zero explanation of how we got there, just to piss the audience off. The end. Now that might be a bit strange to get your head around the first time you hear it, but it's got all the basic elements of a good X-Men story. Time travel, introduction of new and better characters, new villains, a ticking clock, which adds so much more in most films. Rogue and Gambit get together. It's a fan pleaser and a moviegoer pleaser. In my opinion, I just hope someone else thinks that as well. Not that anything could come out of that, but you see what I mean. I came up with that idea in 10 minutes. If you then look at the first two X-Men films and think, hey, those storylines are really good. Oh no, wait, they're really simple and overblown. This guy might have a point. Maybe. I'm just here to inform you. Until next time, I'm going to go watch Superman Returns and slowly cry.
Hey, it's me.
Prove it.
You're a dick.
Okay.